Hey guys, Stephanie here with createfromtheheart.weebly.com, and today is day 9 of the March National Craft Month, and today's video is heat embossing, showing you how to do it, and we'll be making a little tag with it. Okay, so this right here is my homemade tags that I have out of cream cardstock, and it's a 6 inch by 3 inch cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and get my colors I'm going to use. I'm going to use Distress Ink Chipped Sapphire. I'm just going to put it down on my desk here. I'm also going to use Broken China. I'm just putting it around the spots that I did. And I'm going to take my spray bottle and spray on it. And then I'm just going to put my tag and dip it in the ink. What, baby? What? Okay, so my son had to fix his pants. Okay, so I'm just putting it on all over. And then I'm going to take a baby wipe and wipe up the excess of the ink. What, baby? So we have our tag now. I'm just going to use my heat tool to go ahead and dry it. Okay, so later when I get done with it, I will back it up with a piece of cardstock. But as you can see here, the color of it's not very vibrant. So I'm now going to take my my 2 inks of it with the Broken China and with the Chipped Sapphire, and put a drop each onto the page, and then use a baby wipe to blend it. Okay, so here I'm going to use the Broken China. I'm just putting a drop on the edge, and now I'm using the Chipped Sapphire and putting a drop on the top. So now I'm going to take a baby wipe and wrap it around my fingertip like this, and just dab it and go all through the page. Not really as much covering the page with it. Then I'm going to switch to the other side and do the same thing for the Chipped Sapphire, but I'm not going to dab here. I'm just going to smear it up here. And one thing that I like about the Tim Holtz Distress Inks is you can add water to them to spread them more, or however you want to do it. So here I'm going to put some water to help spread it around, blend it in, dull it out a little bit, and that kind of stuff. So go ahead and use my heat tool again to draw this. See how it looks with me doing that there. Now I'm going to show you another little cool technique right fast. This is my Studio G ink pad. It is a pigment ink pad, but you can, not as good with as you can with Tim Holtz, but you can add do a little bit of the watering technique with his. So I'm going to show you how to do it. This is the kind of like the turquoise blue. I'm just kind of patting it down to my desk there. And then I just want to use just a little bit of water, not a whole lot, just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my paper and just put it in where I want it in at. Not a whole lot of everywheres or nothing, just enough to where I can get the colors kind of in there a little bit. So once I have it on there, I'm going to put my wipe here and clean up my blue. This right here is such a pretty blue. I mean, it's just so pretty. I just love it. So I'm going to also use my shade of a purple. I'm going to use the dark Studio G purple that I've got here. And I'm just kind of stamping it on here. Squirting with just a little bit of water, not a whole lot. And then I'm going to put it as well on here. Just different places to help bring in those colors a little bit more. Now, because the Tim Holtz ink is manipulated by water, when you add these watered inks here to it, it's going to also affect the distress ink unless you seal it first. But I wanted it to be kind of manipulated. I wanted it to be manipulated some. That's the reason why I'm doing it this way. But if you let it dry first, it's permanent. Once it dries, it's permanent. So I'm going to go ahead and use my heat tool and heat set this here in. Okay, so now to get away from this blues and purples so much, I'm going to take my Studio G lime green and my blending tool, and I'm going to kind of smear it on here in places. Not a whole lot of way, like in areas, just a little bit here and there, but to help get away from that blues and greens so much. I'm going to now use my Studio G orange and kind of go in, stamp it on the page from the pad, just to give it a little bit touches here and there of it. I'm going to take a quick brush real fast and wet it a little bit. Just a slight wet brush, not a whole much. And just kind of go over that orange some to where it helps blend it in a little bit more. Just a little bit. Go back and use my heat tool. Okay, I'm going to use my wipe here to clean up this excess water. Now I'm going to go and get my Studio G red, or no, I'm going to bring up my Tim Holtz Distress Minis and use my Fire Brick red. And where it's mini, I can get around these small areas with it. Just a little bit. Using my brush here. Or actually I can spray on here to help manipulate this, because it's the Tim Holtz version, which I love his ink pads. I really, really do. Just cleaning up my excess. And I'm going to take my spun sugar, no, not my spun sugar, picked raspberry, I'm sorry. And I'm just going to add a little bit of heat on the edges here and there. I really love his colors. They're so vibrant. Now that I have that, we'll be going now into the embossing. I'm sorry, embossing. Get one more wipe here. Clean up this ink mess here. Clean off my surface. I'm going to use my heat tool again to set this here. Okay, so there we go. That will be the background of our tag. So now I'm going to go ahead and get my embossing tools together, and then I'll be right back with you. Everything I need to do my embossing. When you need to do your embossing, you need your paper that you're going to use, the stamp that you're going to use. Here I have the Stampin' Up! Travel, and because this right here is going to be also my entry for the Tim Holtz 2015 12 tags, 2015, the March edition, it's about getting away. So I'm going to be using the passport stamp, the suitcase stamp, and the World Globe stamp. You also need your embossing ink. Here I am using the Distress embossing ink. It's acid free by Ranger and Tim Holtz. I'm also using the Tim Holtz Distress powder, and it's a black suit, and I've never opened to use this yet, so it's my first time using it. So I'm going to go ahead and set you down and we'll get ready to go. Another thing that you also want to use is a scrap piece of paper, a blank piece of paper to catch the embossing powders afterwards, so you can put it back in there. So the first thing that we're going to do is take our stamp. I'm trying to figure out here how I want it laid up on there. I think I want it like that and stuff. So the first one I'm going to use is the stamp here. You're also going to need an acrylic block for your stamp. So I'm just going to take my stamp here and push it into my embossing ink. Make sure it's really covered. And I'm going to stamp it down like that. I'm going to set it aside so I can clean it later. And now I'm doing the suitcase. You want to make sure it gets covered. And I'm stamping some of it off the page, which is okay because I gotta have room for the globe. So now I'm doing the globe now. Now that we have that, we're going to take our powders. So we're going to take our powders and let me get them opened here. Like I said, this is the first time I've used them, so I'm really excited. And don't be generous with them. Cover it pretty well so you'll get it completely covered. You can always pour that excess back into the container. Okay. They say not to really flick it whenever you're doing it, because the pressure of it will cause it to flick off. Just kind of lightly shake it against the paper edges. And then I'm going to go ahead and pour this excess here back into the container. Okay, so now you're going to take your heat tool and you're going to want to set it. Okay, I'm going to put it on low now. Okay, it don't take very long to let it set, but once it's set, it'll look like that. You can't really see it much now, and this one keeps your time. But you'll see a little gloss to it. You see how it's glossy? And that's how you know it'll be set. So, that is how you do the embossing, and using the embossing powder technique. I'm going to go ahead and finish to decorate my tag and stuff with for the video, and go ahead and get my supplies ready for heat and clean this part here up, and then I will be right back. I'm going to use the Prima Cartographer paper 6x6 paper pad. I'm going to use the ones that has the pictures of all the different places on here. I'll be using this page. When I do tags, unless I'm covering the whole, using it as a background, I don't normally use a whole lot of paper on my tags. I normally just use media. But the reason I'm doing this right here is to different places of the world and stuff. So, and I'm just cutting out some different places. I think that'll be good. So the ones I'm going to use is the Eiffel Tower, and then the big building here. I'm not for sure what that one is. And these little buildings here. Going to go ahead and cut these up into individual parts out. And then I'm going to get my Tim Holtz Distress ink pad vintage photo out, and my blending tool, and I'm going to ink the edges to help make it a little bit more vintage looking. Okay. So now I'm going to take these and kind of putting them different ways, stacking them up here in different ways and stuff, using the Eiffel Tower on top. And then I'm going to use a Tim Holtz Distress, or Tim Holtz mini paper clip to bind them together with. Like that. I'm going to use my ATG tape gunner to put some glue on the back of these to glue it down. I'm going to kind of have it to this here on the thing there. Just kind of put it above the traveling. And then with the scrap part of the cardstock that I made, I'm going to cut out a little banner. Make a little banner like this right here. And I'm going to take my CDRG black to color it with. Woohoo. Let me get my tweezers here. To help hold it down. Clean up my mess here. And then use my heat tool to draw it with, and then just kind of draw the spot. Okay. And then with my Studio G white ink pad and my number 3 brush, that's a very pointy brush. I'm going to use this right here to write the word travel on it. Okay. It don't show up a whole lot. For I need to get me a alphabet stamp, so I need to get it. I've got those wood ones, but I don't like using them. So now I'm just going to use my exception knot to put a little piece of hoe in it. Okay. And then I'm going to pierce a little hole up here in my tag as well. No. Then I'm using a Tim Holtz little small fastener to go in the hose. You're getting sleepy, ain't you, Bubby? No. Yeah. And then I'm also going to be using a Tim Holtz small clock arm, arrow, what do you want to call it, and putting it on top of the travel tag that we made. And then now all I'm going to do now is using my Tim Holtz Distress Ink Vintage Photo and the blending tool and blend the edges. And there you have it, a nice little pretty tag. And now all I'm going to do is put a ribbon through the top and back it with cardstock, and then it'll be done. Okay, so here is the product. I hope you all liked it. I'm not going to go ahead and record about the ribbon and the cardstock backing it up. But this is how you do heat embossing or embossing powders. And I hope you all liked it and enjoyed it, and I hope you all learned something from it. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out my blog at www.createfromtheheart.weebly.com.